Welcome to solverfy.
All right, so in this question, you are being asked which of these colors is formed by refraction, or selective reflection, or thin film interference in relations to flower petals, rainbows, and soap bubbles. So in order to solve this problem, we have to first think about the definitions of refraction, selective reflection, and thin film interference. So refraction is the bending of a light or sound wave. So if we're thinking about this in sort of a little diagram, an instant ray passes through the air at an angle of, let's say, theta 1. And once it passes through the air, it meets water. And because of that, it actually becomes bended. And so the resulting theta, theta 2, is going to be different from theta 1. And so the refracted ray has bended in relations to the instant ray. So then if we look at selective reflection, it is the reflection of certain wavelengths that is emitted by a surface because it absorbs certain wavelengths and reflects others. So if we're looking at this in a little picture, if this line is glass and you have different colors that are trying to pass through it, let's say there's red, there's green, and there's blue, not all these colors are going to be passed through the glass. And let's just say that this glass itself is a blue color. So if the glass itself is a blue color, then of course blue light or blue, the color blue can pass through because it's blue glass. And so because of that, the color is not going to be absorbed. It's going to be reflected. However, green and red are both going to be reflected into this blue glass. And that is what selective transmission is. So then the last one, thin film interference, is when light waves reflecting off of the top and bottom surfaces of a thin film will interfere with one another. So here, if we're looking at it, you have two surfaces, 1 and 2. Sorry, I was supposed to use black here, 1 and 2. If you have an instant light that's passing through, it's passing through surface 1, and then some of it might get bended into surface 2, and then some of it is going to be reflected, while some of it is going to be transmitted or absorbed. So because of that, in both top and bottom layers, they're kind of interfering with each other, as you can kind of see in the diagram. And so that is what thin film interference is. Now that we know what each of these are, let's see how color is formed for rainbow, soap bubbles, and flower petals. So looking at the flower petals, usually when you see a flower, they all have certain colors that we can see with the naked eye. And the reason that we are able to see reflected color is because the flower absorbs certain wavelengths, and any color wavelengths it does not absorb, it reflects, otherwise known, as we have just seen, known as selective reflection. And so flower petals would be denoted with selective reflection. Now, thinking about rainbows, we know that they can be formed when light is reflected through water droplets, and then the light is bent, in a sense, as through a prism, separating the colors of light and producing a color spectrum. Therefore, knowing what we just learned, rainbows' colors must be formed by refraction. By the process of elimination, soap bubbles' colors are formed through thin film interference, but let's think about why that is. Soap bubbles are covered by a thin film, which, due to light waves interacting with each other from both the top and bottom of the film, causes the soap bubble to appear very colorful, and therefore, due to this interference, soap bubbles' colors must be made due to thin film interference.